Okay, here we go again. Let's see, I did do, as is the theme lately, I did do more stuff kind of on my own. I think everything's pushed, so let's go to GitHub and I'll kind of stuff here yet? No. Go through what I did. I think I have everything. Oh, maybe I didn't push it. That was the last commit. Oh, this is main? Yeah, this is main, that's why. So, in the last commit, I think I got everything to a point where I needed it. One thing I did change, larger thing I changed, was the methods used. Those are no longer just the prefix of the sort key, it's the actual sort key. So I had to do that because when you go to delete a user and all you have is the application ID and the user ID, there's no way to know like which sign-in method item is theirs. So I added it to the sort key so that you can just kind of iterate through the methods used. This became a put because it's an update, it's not a creation type thing. Delete user was added. Update user count was removed. This was actually finished out. I put this comment in here. I know it's kind of weird to have an await promise all and then await promise all, but this is an asynchronous process anyway, so what does it really matter? And the first await is to delete all of the methods used, and the second is what it was before. I also moved, instead of updating the user count as an emit, as like an async process, because it's not really idempotent, I instead just made it a call. So yeah, that's a thing now, which means that I removed all of the update user count folder. I added in some stuff for SES that hopefully will, yeah, maybe I should write up some stuff about. I need a better way to handle the config.json, because if someone clones this and wants to use it on their own, then they kind of have to, like, my placeholders are in here, when ideally it should be someone else's placeholders. So that's not great, but I digress. There were some things I had to change with the authentication service. I think mostly, so I changed that post to put, but mostly around SES. So there are a few issues with the way I constructed the JSON for SNS from the API Gateway Service Proxy integrations. There was an extra space that threw me off for a couple minutes. The delete needed to be authorized, and here's the SES stuff. So in SES, I needed to give Lambda functions the correct permissions. So I just had to grab the role and add to the policy that they were allowed to send an email, and then it was fine. Some stuff in the config that got updated, but of course that gets updated because it's linked to the other config. I guess I updated a comment. Oh, I added a generic update. I think this is applications. Yeah, added a generic update similar to users, but this is for the applications. And then the update just calls generic applications. And then updating the user count, what I did before, it was quite a bug. I just had it updating. I passed it into here as an object, and then it just updated. So user count was only ever 1 or -1. But what you need to do actually is add, whereas this defaults to set. So I just had to add those user count changes instead of set them. And then this was a decent change. So the sign-in methods, instead of that being called in the port, that is now being called in the actual create email sign-in function. And this would also have to happen with like one-time passwords or with Google, like with third-party providers, anything like that. Social logins, that's what it's called. Remove sign-in method. It removes it from the user and it updates. It updates the user by removing it from the user, and then it also removes it, which means it should probably be below generic remove, but it worked anyway. What? Oh, maybe it is below generic remove. It probably is. I don't know. When I lint, it'll yell at me, but yeah, it just needs to be. I guess this doing it this way instead of just removing it, right? Because my current use case is I just need to remove that row whenever someone deletes themselves. But in the future, let's say you had like two different emails that you could log on and it would be the same user ID. Well, what if you want to delete one of those emails? Now you can do that. It just removes it from your user and it removes the sort key so that email and password are no longer valid to log in as your user. I think this also opens up the door to potentially having like group logins. The group would essentially be the user. I would probably in the future put it like under its own endpoint, and then when you log in as a group, then you can add certain people, certain emails to the group, and then those users could just sign in to a group. Yeah, that would be one option for it. I guess that would be different. There'd be more on like the front end how it's handled, because if one user, let's say like Miro does it, the whiteboard app. I could log in with the same email and password, but I could be in a different group or I could be for myself. So I think the front end would have to have a way to handle that, because on the back end it would just be different API endpoints. But yeah, that would have to get handled somehow on the front end. And then finally removing the email sign-in. That might not. Do I even use that? I might not use that anymore. Here we are. The ports also changed accordingly. A couple bug fixes. I think some of these were on stream too. So yeah, there's the change from like updating the user count from the applications instead of just updating it. Right, this was just setting it as the user count changed, but instead I needed to add it, so I had to create a new function for that. Removing the sign-in method. Then we have application get. I don't know how. Oh yeah, because if I got one, I wanted it to be a 404, and before it was not. Then we have moving from post to put. I deleted that comment because I don't think that's necessary right now. Also, I got rid of that event. Didn't need that log anymore. And updating the user count instead of emitting the event. So that's what I pushed recently. And I have actually, let's go to DynamoDB. I'll clear everything out and then run through all of the endpoints, because it should work by now. If not, then I have some final debugging before I do my last to-dos. So you're going to create an application. We'll put to our application, and I'll wait a couple seconds for that SNS event to go through. Go ahead and get it. The reset password URL should be what I set it to. Now I'm going to create a user, and then I will wait for the email on my phone. That'll take a couple seconds. And I got it. So I will, from here, I will update. Verify myself, and now I have a user ID. Now if I want to get my token, I can get my token, and I can make sure that I am who I am, and this should match this. It does. Now if I want to reset, let's go ahead and send the reset email. And same thing, I got my, and this time I got my my link. So I know that the email logic is working. And I'll reset it just to the same password. I will say I have changed this password and verified that it does actually update accordingly. Now I will, let me check the table, make sure everything's there, make sure that my application has one user count. My methods used has the full sort key, and now I will delete myself. And that will take a while. If it isn't deleted, I'll get this message that there's still users using this application. Otherwise, it should delete it. And now there should not be anything in the table. So I can run through the full flow, which is awesome. There are still a couple more to-dos that I want to do. And I think I'll try to tackle some of those before I turn back around to the site analytics. So they are apparent in the README, and they are also in, there we go. They are also in the code. So I think here are my to-dos. Yeah. So most of the ones that I want to work on, I don't really care about that one right now, but is the RSA keys, and then well, that one would be nice, but I think I can get around that in the front end. Eventually I want to do this, but for now I want to tackle the RSA keys. So I want to be able to create an RSA key, upload it to S3, and then store my public key as a JWKS. So that would be here, that would be in the JWKS, and then in the delete, I need to delete the RSA key. So I think that this would probably be best as an async lambda. Probably something along the lines of create application, delete application. That means I'll also need an S3 bucket, and I'll need various permissions on the private and the public paths. Yeah. So I think the way that the application ID is in here, I can kind of, I will have some level of authorization built in, because an application will only be able to look at its own private key. So there's that. The public key, I need to figure out, I think at one point I looked at how you can do an API gateway service proxy with S3. There we go. Because that I think would be the easiest, and if I could just cache it, that would also be the easiest. I suppose I get to list, no, get on the phone. Either way, I can do it. And then I wouldn't have to have a Lambda function that goes and grabs the file and then pushes it back out. There was also, that was another thing, you could do mock, but I think that might be a little more difficult. That might be a little more difficult. So I'm not going to worry about the mock, because I think what would have to happen in the mock is, instead of uploading to S3, instead of uploading to S3, I would have to create that in API Gateway, and I think the API I don't think that would scale very well. I think the API Gateway, let's say you had like 8,000 applications, then you would have that many mock endpoints, and I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. So I think what I'm going to do is have similar to like this delete user event, I'm going to have a create application and delete application async, or rather event. So let's go ahead and add these here. We're going to have a create application, or maybe I'm thinking that the wording on this is kind of strange now. It's delete user. I think now in hindsight I would have said user deleted. Well, I guess that one's just a service proxy integration. So all the logic is handled there. This one is different. This is application created, because the application has already been created, and then we're going to have an application deleted. This handles actions such as okay. I think that's good for now. I'm going to actually swap over to Vim, because I want to keep using that. Alright, so one thing I'm going to need is a new file, because I'm going to need S3 buckets. And I need a new tab. What uses this? Papyrus uses S3 buckets. There it is. And I'll just take all of it and make it look nicer now. Okay. I don't need CloudFront. I just need S3. This will just be main bucket. I always get confused. Like, I use a Razer keyboard that's actually for Windows on this computer, but for another computer I use an actual Mac keyboard, and my keys always kind of throw me off, like the difference in keys. All right. I don't think I need that right now. Call this main bucket. Just main bucket. Public read access is true, but kind of. And I won't have life cycle rules, because I want to keep those keys indefinitely. Allowed origins, we're not doing that because this isn't going to be like web available. This is only through my stuff. So maybe I don't need public read access. Yeah, I don't think I would want public read access. And I also don't want this name. What did I call the other ones? Just API? Okay. Bucket. Okay. And then in here, I'm going to need bucket. Whoa! What do I call it? Buckets. All right. New bucket. And we'll call this authentication service buckets dev. That. And my guess is I will need, I wish I remembered how to fold. In Vim, how do you fold? CF, what? Z, okay. ZO, ZC. No fold found. Huh, okay. If I do this and do, was it ZF? Aha! Instead of main, alright, I'm going to change this. Main to primary, because that seems to be what? Was it this? What did I mess up on that syntax? Is it just that? Oh, it's just that. Oh, whoops. Yes, 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 yes. And up here. Okay. And it's called primary bucket now. Okay. And this is it. Do I do ZF again? No. If I did ZF, how do I un-ZF? ZA? No. All right. So there's the bucket. And I want to check to make sure I'm doing this correctly from a CDK standpoint. Look at the bucket. We have block public access should probably be true. Encryption. Let's see, what else do we have? Versioned. I want to do versioned. All right, I'm gonna just copy that line. Where is it? Block public. Where did block public access come from? Access control, bucket name, cores, encryption. What's it by default? It's just external. My guess is it's managed if you don't. That's my guess. Event bridge, intelligent to inventory, life cycles, metrics, notifications, object ownership, public read access. New buckets that don't allow public access. You can modify bucket key enabled. Encryption. Default is KMS or unencrypted otherwise. So maybe I'd encrypt that later. I don't know. I won't encrypt it now, but default is false. Why would it not enforce SSL? Sure, let's enforce SSL. Lifecycle rules, metrics, notifications, object ownership, public read access, default is false. Server logs, versioned is true. I'm not doing website stuff, so let's look at the encryption thing. It is of type bucket encryption, KMS managed. I do not want to manage the KMS key. I don't know what the difference between KMS managed and S3 managed is. I'll just go ahead and do encryption now. I should probably just do that from the start anyway. S3 managed keys or KMS keys. Ah, okay. So doing S3 is better for traffic reasons. So S3 bucket keys reduce cost. Okay. Seems like that's the preferred way. I'm gonna guess that's the way to do it. I don't want KMS though. I want S3 managed. Okay. I'm gonna guess that's okay. Let me make sure that's synths. Oh, that's not going to synth because I need to add to this bucket S3 bucket, and then this becomes S3. Is that what it actually was? Yeah. I think. What it looks like it might have been. Okay. And then, alright, so that's synthesized. So next, now that it's synthesized, this bucket, you can access the encryption key. Okay, so I need to give certain Lambda functions access to S3. So I will have a similar function for S3, and this will be bucket. The rest of that stuff is fine. And for each Lambda path, I want to do something like bucket dot. Since I'm dealing with keys, maybe I won't do this because I don't think I want to grant full access. Let's see, where's the bucket? I have a bucket. Grant puts and grant reads. Put object, and then what is write? Write permissions. Grant write permissions to this bucket to an IAM. It's weird. I'm guessing grant put would be A-OK. Okay, and it also gives encryption permissions. So I need to have a no, actually let's do a grant write S3 to lambdas, and then we'll have another one that's grant read. I should probably do this with DynamoDB too, but alright, so this would just be grant write to the lambda, and this would be bucket dot, is it like bucket name? What do you need for the S? I guess that's the real question. What do you need for S3? Do you need the name or do you need the ARN? If I need to put, let's say, put object, command, probably need the input. The input is a body, and it's a, you know, I have done this before, so I'm not gonna, oops, I'm not gonna toy around with this. It's obviously been done in this repo. Let me just find, is it here? Is it here? S3 client. Oops. Here we go. Bucket. It's the name of the bucket. Okay. Okay. So I need bucket name. There. That's that. And now this will be the same except it is read, correct? There's a grant put and a grant read. This should be put. That seems like the better one for some reason. So now I will do the same thing with this, except I need to check something. All right. Instead of connect, I need 29. Need that. And then I'll need that one. Sorry if you hear the dog snoring in the background. So which, I think it's, the right will be when the application is created, and this will be called primary bucket name. And I will do the same here. To read from it, that will be a specific endpoint to ks.json/get, correct? And then there will also need to be a delete. Is that a specific, it's probably, is it put, is it, no, it is grant delete. And you can do it on certain patterns. Okay, so let's see, where's the read? Oh yeah, I'll also need it, where's my to-dos? In this one, in users token get, I will need to be able to read the private key. So in the private key, users token get, correct? Application ID users token get, that will also need to read. And then I'll need to do something to delete, but that's going to be in the background anyway. Writing will also be in the background, so I don't think it's not actually the post that does it. It's going to be whatever's in the background. So I don't think this is necessarily, I don't think that's actually necessary. Yeah. So the read I'll leave because I know that those two, well, this one's also not going to be a lambda. So it's just this one. I'll leave it there. And I'll leave that one there as well. And then I'll need a delete. But those are all going to be, a lot of this is like background stuff. And one of the reasons I'm going to put this, a lot of this in the background, is because we're dealing with files and crypto stuff, which inherently takes, it's more CPU intensive. It might take longer. I don't think this should be in the user's path, in the critical path. Although it is used pretty much directly after it's created, I think there should be enough time for this to happen. And then in, for instance, this endpoint, once I read from S3, if it's not there, then I'll throw some sort of error, throw some like internal error. Yeah, because that'd be a pretty big error. Let's see, and then maybe let's see if that would require action on my part. So maybe it'd be best for me to like trigger an alarm right off the bat, and try to figure out what went wrong, because that would cause issues pretty quickly, I would imagine. So where was I? Let's see. I think now maybe I need to start creating these things. Yeah, so I know, let's see, did I create my, no, I didn't. So let's create directories, and then I'm going to finish this in VS Code because I like copying all the files over. So I'm going to need, I forgot what I called it. Application created and application deleted. And then I'm going to copy code from, let's say, this guy into there and into there. All right. And then over here, this is application created. Oops. And we have application deleted. Okay. So there are those two. So they will now pick up code from those folders. And then we're going to have to do something like, I don't know, uses S3, similar to what I did for uses SES up there. Uses S3 and then that's going to have to do the relevant things. That's going to have to like get granted permissions and stuff. So maybe I'll do that by permission. Oops. Let's see. Puts S3. Deleted would be, what's it called? Is it just deleted? Deletes S3 maybe? Deletes S3. Yeah. Okay. If it puts to S3, then we want to do lambda function dot, I don't remember what it's called, add environment. Oops. Where, yeah, I'm getting wildly confused. Okay, I hit some wrong keys and here we are. So this is going to be, I guess I'll put a constant at the very top, like S3 name. S3 variable that is equal to primary bucket name. Okay. I want to grab that and then I want to paste it there, and then it is bucket name. Primary bucket name. Primary bucket. Okay. And then I want to do a primary bucket dot grant put on we'll do lambda function. And if we're going to, so now that I have the option on the puts, on the patterns, this one can write to anything. This can write to public or private. So what I'm thinking right now is, right, I know that I'm going to have public and private. So on the reading one in API Gateway, I'm going to grant it access to only read from public. But this one has to read and write to both. And then, or sorry, this one has to put both. And then creating it, or sorry, deleting it would also require accessing both. And then the one that's reading the private key, well, if you can read the private key, you might as well be able to read the public key. So that one also doesn't matter as much. So I'll also just do a grant read. So I think, I wonder if, what is the authorization? Yeah. I just didn't write it to do there. Okay. So that's supposed to get it from S3. Yeah. That might start to get kind of expensive on these S3 calls, like time-wise, not money-wise, but all right. Either way, we have the puts, we have the deletes. Okay. I think that's good for those. We just have to create the events for them now. And then actually write the code. Writing the code too, yeah. This should only need the application ID. Same with this one. And then let's see, in the board, it's just that. In the logic, for now, I'm just going to do return. I'll do the same thing over here. This is just return. Okay. So right now it just doesn't do anything, but that's fine. So I need an SNS to emit some extra events. I need 83. Okay. I need to emit application created, and all that one needs is the application ID. And I'll actually recopy this. The operation is called application created, and it's just the application ID. So there's that. We'll just copy over that, and this will be application deleted, and the rest is the same. So now those are available. Oops. Created. And then I want to import. I think I just need to paste them in. And then they're probably down here, right? There we go. Yeah, just paste them in. We'll do that. There we go. Now they're all alphabetical. Don't need that. And I think I'll leave that open for now. What I want to do is go in here. There we go. And now this is in here. And I want to await emitting this with the application ID. And those to-dos are done because they will now be done in here. What was it? It's create, let's see, what did I have here? I'll just copy this. Okay. And we'll do that, that's fine. Okay. So now that's emitting. The other thing is deleting it. And that'll be around here. I'll do it underneath. And let's do promise.all. There we go. And then I'll take this and put it in here. So now I'm just moving the to-dos around pretty much. So now the to-dos are just in a new place, which is fine with me. It's still all going to get done. It's just in a different place. Okay. And maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, we're going to have something like JWKS URI, and this is a string. And then whatever the current method I use to create the JWKS path, that's what'll be there. Yeah. Okay. So that's those ones. So now we'll create it, store it, delete it. Yeah. So probably need something like save file. So now I need an S3 to save the file because that's what my async stuff is going to do. I also need to delete file, or I'll use my same terminology here. We'll remove the file. And reading yeah, I also need to read the file. Read. Okay, I'll just leave it there. Right. So we can save it, read it, remove it. We're not going to ever update them. Yeah. Okay. So now that means I need some sort of S3. Oops. S3 very similar to these ones. But with S3. Yeah. I think, didn't SES, didn't I do it outside? Yeah, I did. I'm going to do that for SNS as well. The client was there. Yeah, I think I like the look of that better. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave it there because I'll go down the rabbit hole too far, and I have other stuff that I have to do this morning. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. I think the steps forward now are to finish writing the S3 code so that I can read, write, and delete. Let me make a little note to myself. Next time, write S3 code to read, write, delete, finish code for async application creation and deletion. Read public read keys from S3 in lambda authorizer and user/token get user token. Okay. So that would finish this one. What is this? Which one is it? Put? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for that one. That one might not even be used, but I would fix this one. Yeah. And then the authorizer, which for whatever reason isn't showing up. Yeah, but I know it's there. So I think that would fix this one. That one's future. That one I don't really care about. See if I can just catch an error on this one. Yeah. Do I have to return a weight? I don't think I have to return a weight. And the reason why is because let's see. And here, there's the condition expression. So I'm pretty sure I can get away with that. I will leave that as a to-do because that would eliminate a call. I don't think I'm actually going to get X-ray working. I don't know if I care enough or need it enough to work. Yeah, I don't know if I'm making enough calls for it to really matter too much. Like too deep of calls to really matter that much. But so yeah, that would finish off my big to-dos. And this is actually something that dynamically creating RSA keys is something I've actually wanted to do for a while. I had code written up for it, but I've never actually put it into use. The code, let me find the code because I'll need this anyway. And here it's JWT, and then it's this, right? So you can key gen it or you can do it dynamically. So I've had this code written up, but I've never actually used it. Like if you notice, this is all kind of built to just be run as a one-off script, but I've never actually put it into use, and that's something that I really want to do. So so there's that, and then there's also creating a JWKS, which uses those public keys and puts them into this format, but they need to be in this format. So also a good link. So cool. And then deleting them is just deleting the file, but yeah. I think that's a good place to end for today. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're interested in using any of this, I won't today, but normally I commit and push everything to GitHub. It's all open source. It's free to use. If you need help setting it up, or need help with anything else, have an issue, want something made, whatever, find a way to contact me. Let me know. My email is normally all over the place, so I'm sure it's on the channel or it's definitely in my blog. So yeah, just feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help. And I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks.